So, what is up? How are you guys? This is an impromptu kind of thing, I don't normally go live on Thursdays or at this time, but today I had this open little window here. My wife might come home any minute, and you might hear her come in, but still, I felt like I wanted to jump on the channel, talk to the community here, talk to you guys, and discuss a topic that I think is important, something that we really should touch on. It might not be the easiest topic to talk about, but I think it is something that we do need to talk about. Let's see who's in the live chat. If there's anybody here, like I said, this is something that I just threw up. That sounded funny. Something that I just decided to do. I didn't throw it up. And yeah, let's kick it off. Let's see who's in the live chat. Let's kick back. Let's hang out. I see Mike. What's up, Mike? How are you, man? Alien Girl. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Alien Girl's channel, make sure to check her out. I'm sure her link is in the description of this video. If you're listening to this as a podcast, because I might upload this as a podcast. I'm not sure yet. But if you are, make sure to go to my channel and check out all the videos. Normally have links to lots of other people like myself that create content regarding the phenomenon, and I think it's worth checking out. So, as always, guys, let me know how the audio sounds. It's the tradition here. Obviously, I don't have headphones on. I can't even hear what I'm saying. Also, let me know if the quality is good today. The last live really bummed me out. I wasn't watching what it looked like on YouTube, but on StreamYard, it looked fine. It didn't look like it was glitching. It did look like, the connection or something was bad. But when I rewatched the last live, I was like, there's so many funny frames of my face just frozen while I'm talking. I look like I'm transforming into a reptilian or something. But yeah, so I don't want to make this conversation about hashtag UFO Twitter because I want it to be the core of the conversation because it's kind of like the experience I can give you guys and a lot of the guys here in the chat, a lot of the people here. I know it's not good to say guys anymore, I guess, but a lot of the people here in the chat, the beautiful human beings that constantly come here and share their thoughts, their theories, their experiences, what they think about the phenomenon are part of that community. So I'm going to use it as reference because they know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to this or you're new to the channel, you're watching this as a replay, you may not know what UFO Twitter is, hashtag UFO Twitter. It's a hashtag that you can use to meet like-minded people that are interested in the UFO phenomenon. It is a hashtag. It's kind of like whenever I take pictures with my Canon and I upload that picture on YouTube, on Instagram, I'll use, hashtag Canon, maybe the mark of the camera or the brand. Mark is the Spanish way, la marca, to say that. But the brand or maybe what I use to edit it, the photo or whatever, right? So it's just to help people kind of get into the same room where you're all kind of talking about the same thing. Let me check out the live chat because a lot of you guys are here. Man, it's so nice to see you guys. Thank you, as always, for joining Invisible Night School. Thank you for letting me know that the sound is good, my friend. Benji's a great guy. Make sure to, most of you guys probably follow him on Twitter, but if you don't, Benji, they should. Diego, ¿cómo andas, amigo? Gray, what's up, brother? Barry, so many cool faces, man. Thank you, as always, guys, for joining me here in these conversations. I love that these are like kicked back and we can just sit down and talk and we can have conversations like this. So something happened online in this world that so many people love to call fake, which honestly rubs me personally the wrong way. I've said this many times before. I don't direct it towards people because I don't want to do that because I don't think, it's my opinion. It's my take. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But I feel like there's a lot of people that think that social media is fake, right? I mean, I understand it can be. It has its aspects that aren't real. But behind the post, behind the people, behind this video right now, behind this camera, behind this platform that you're on, there's a real person. It's not like I'm a hologram or some AI. I'm a real person. So sometimes emotions can get heated. And sometimes there can be negative people, toxic people. There can be great people, amazing people. But it's not that these different online communities are just like negative and dark and it's horrible and you can't go there. The worst part of it that bothers me, right, is that a lot of people, like I said, I'm not going to point people out or anything, but in general, right, a lot of people come into these communities. They meet awesome people like all you guys in the live chat. They get kind of where they want to get. They get stable. You know, they start from nothing. They meet a bunch of awesome people. They build whatever their community. And then they don't want to interact anymore with those online groups. Right? I might be a little dated. I might use some dated words here. I do realize some of the younger crowd might be like online groups. But and it bugs me. What I'm trying to say is hashtag UFO Twitter is a place that I found a while ago. I'd originally tried to find different groups online. You know, I went to Facebook. I tried to use Instagram. I went to Reddit. Oh man, I spent some time on Reddit. You know, I got like kicked out of subreddits, and because I didn't know how to follow the rules and stuff like that. I just wasn't in that world. I was into creating content. And I thought I need to find a community of people that are like-minded, that enjoy my content, that can become part of this community here, and we can talk and we can share ideas and we can search for the truth together. And I never really thought this channel, what I was doing, could really become as a big part of my life as it has. I wanted it to, so I'm happy that it is, you know, but I never thought, I didn't come into this thinking, oh, I'm going to be super famous and I'm going to have 1 million subscribers and I'm going to be like the #1 UFO. It's a UFO. I'm talking about UFOs. It would be wonderful if I could, if we all had a channel with somebody that was on there, any of the people in the live chat, anybody could have a big audience that would be seen by lots of people to really kill the stigma tied to this. You know, I think that's what people forget and they don't notice when they talk about creatives or, you know, blogs, anything that's online that can get eyes on it. Depending on the amount of eyes that it gets and depending on the amount of traction it gets is the amount of influence it can have. And the word influencer, even though we attach that to like TikTokers and all, you know, these little kids doing dances on TikTok and stuff like that. The word influencer means that they influence. It's like in the word. And what better thing to have than somebody that can influence the whole world about this topic and to really open people's minds up about it. So never thought I'd be that person, and I'm not, obviously, right? But I'm saying that'd be nice for us to have that in the community. I'm getting a little off of what I was originally saying. So sometimes people will join these online communities and start saying things, you know, toxic or negative about it. And there's a lot of beautiful things that happen in these communities. There's a lot of amazing people like all you guys in the live chat right now. You know, all you guys in the live chat are amazing and you're interacting with me all the time. And I don't think anyone in the live chat I've ever had I'm mixing my English and Spanish. I've been working a lot recently in Spanish and now I'm like short circuiting, but, I'm saying that I get along with everybody in the live chat. I mean, I get it. We can disagree. We can have different opinions, different ideas. This phenomenon is unexplained. That's what it's all about. Right. But I'm not going to like throw shade at UFO Twitter or really any UFO community. They all have their toxic aspects. They all have their unhealthy aspects. But if we focus and we concentrate, we can build healthy communities inside of those communities, or we can try our best to represent what the community should look like. And you kind of act the way you would in real life, right? Like you would if you walked into a room. You don't want to take advantage of people. You don't want to insult people. You don't want to treat people wrong. You want to help people grow, especially if you're in a room full of people that are all trying to figure out the same thing. It reminds me of this film. I can't remember the name. Maybe one of you guys know the name. I'll tell you guys the plot of the film. It's a jury and they're stuck in a room. It's a famous film. I remember a biology teacher when I was in middle school showed it to us, and we had to like take a biology test. I don't remember how it worked, but we had to like explain how science was used in the film, or like signs of science in the film. I don't know. I don't remember. It's not a science film or anything like that, but it's a movie about a jury stuck in a room and they're all trying to decide, you know, what's going to happen to this person in the other room. And you got every single person has a different backstory and a different life and a different belief system, different morals. I can't remember the name of this movie. One of you guys have to know the name. It's a famous movie. I think they remade it. They remade it a few years later. And that's kind of like what I feel like UFO Twitter and subreddits and Facebooks, all these things, Instagrams, TikToks, whatever community online it is. The thing about it is the UFO topic is not something that you can just walk down the street and talk about. It's not like you can hit the bar and just start chatting with somebody about UFOs. You know, you might be able to have a small discussion with somebody, but you can't get into real in-depth conversations with a lot of people still to this day about UFOs. Like, next time somebody talks to you about UFOs that's not into this topic like we are, or maybe, you know, hasn't really looked into it, try and open up. Tell them everything you know. Break down the cases, right? Break down the abduction phenomenon. Talk about all the aspects. They're gonna look at you, and they're not gonna be ready for the conversation. Those kinds of talks have to happen piece by piece. The stigma has to go away. And what these communities do is they help lessen the stigma if we can work together and like put our brains on the same page and try to figure things out. So I'm not going to highlight what happened, really, the negative things that happened. But behind every username or behind every profile or whatever is a person who might be going through something, a person who might have issues, a person who might just be looking for answers, right? So what we need to do is focus on that, focus on the search for the truth, focus on trying to create strong communities. It sucks, man, because I really do look up to a lot of people that don't like UFO Twitter. You know, I see them as friends. I see them as people that I enjoy. I enjoy what they say, what they do. I enjoy everything. But then I hear them talk about UFO Twitter. And for me, it's like, you guys are UFO Twitter. The chat is UFO Twitter. Some of you may not be on there, right? But it's like the community aspect of it. It's like, you got to have your communities back, and you can't forget where you started, who got you where you're going, who the people that really motivated you and helped you and let you talk to them and shared ideas with you. That's definitely the beauty of it, because it's not easy to find. It is not easy to find. So I think online communities are great. I think you need to be open and ready and understand that stuff could get wild, stuff could get crazy. But that's just the way it is. And like I said, I used Facebook, I used Reddit, I used everything. And my favorite community has been UFO Twitter. So let me check out the live chat. I want you guys to tell me what you think about UFO Twitter in the live chat. Be honest as you want. You know, this isn't just to shine on UFO Twitter. We can talk about the negatives, the positives. We can talk about whatever we want. But I think it's good to just vent for a minute because, man, for those of you listening to this or watching this that don't know what this is, it got pretty wild in the last week or so. It's been kind of getting wild for a while now. But I've been trying to stay level-headed, stay grounded, send you guys some positivity, some positive tweets, something nice to look at. But then every once in a while, I get hit with a stray. You know, I get hit with something that I got to say something, or I got to like this person's tweet, or I got to do this. Like, I got to let them know that, yeah, I agree with you, or you're wrong, or because it's getting to the point where you got to say something. You got to do something. I like this one. Michael Boyle says, UFO Twitter is an open forum. It's good, bad, ugly, but there's a common denominator, no? The good, bad, and the ugly. Oh, yeah. That reminds me of Clint Eastwood. Look, UFO Twitter, these groups, they're like life. Life has the good, bad, and the ugly. You can't expect everybody to get along. That's why I think it's good for people to have discussions, right? To disagree. This healthy skeptics are great. Healthy believers are great. The unhealthy ones, and when I say unhealthy, I'm not saying like sick or anything or with, you know, some kind of illness. I'm saying unhealthy in the sense of like even the way you think about the topic. But yeah, I like this one. It's great when everyone is in a good mood. I personally didn't learn a thing yesterday. This space is a learning tool for me, and that's what's lacking this week. I agree, Benji. And I know there's people out there like you that use it as a learning tool, that enjoy interacting with people that maybe have a bit more information on different cases or are sharing things that you might find interesting. I think that's the beauty of it. You know, it's the beauty of it. It's why it is important. You know, with so many minds all melding together and working together, you really can discover things. It's just that we also have to try and do our own research on the side. You know, like get inspired by people and what they tell you and go out and do your own digging. I would love for somebody to just slap something on my desk and say, hey, I found it. This is what you were looking for. I found it right here. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes people will hit me with a DM and they'll break something down. And I'm like, whoa, you were doing some research, man. Definitely. Let me check this out. Ruth. What's up, Ruth? She says, hi, John. I'm UFO Girl on Twitter. I deleted my Twitter accounts years ago because I hate Jack Dorsey, but recently joined back up just for the UFO community. I've enjoyed meeting y'all. That's awesome, UFO Girl. And yeah, like I said, it is real people behind it all. So you can't expect to put a bunch of people in the same room or in the same space and for them all to get along. And if you dislike somebody and you don't like, you know, what they say, it's fine. Like, I agree. Do what you do. How, you know, I don't know how to say this. I was about to say, do you, you know, handle situations how you feel you need to handle them. You can calm down later. You know, like some of the stuff that happened yesterday, I was on kind of both sides of the fence with the situation. I thought the bad guy was the bad guy. The hero was the hero. And I don't want to say any names. You know, I don't want to make this about that because I'm not them. I don't talk to them. But we could have avoided that situation. A lot of us knew the shadiness that was, you know, not exactly what was going on, you know, but I'm saying we knew that this person didn't really work the right way. Didn't really handle themselves the way they should. But it's weird, you know, it's like the people that knew that weren't saying anything. So you don't want to come out and say anything because you're like, well, it's not my beef, right? Like, I don't know. This is what I heard. But you start hearing it from a lot more people. And I made a tweet the other day. No, I don't think people caught on to it. I said, sooner or later, when you realize that somebody, you know, has beef with a lot of people and the people just keep coming up and piling up and more people have beef, they're the problem. You know, I grew up in the city. I grew up in Los Angeles. I guess it's a city, right? But like by the beach. And I had friends that were like troublemakers. I had some friends that were awesome. To me, they were like my best friends, but they attracted things, and it was because of the way they acted. You know, I had friends that bad stuff might have happened to me, you know, for just associating with them. I had to learn the hard way about that. You know, sometimes it comes back, and those friends, the way they act around other people, it flips on you, and then they act that way with you, and you learn the hard way. So I was all good for people standing up for the good people. I was all good for the people of Twitter that wanted to stand up for who they thought was right, which I think is, and we all know, is the hero of the story, right? And she finally did what nobody else did. She put it all out there, burned them, and that was it. But a lot of us knew that not exactly this situation. I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. I want you to, like, we knew that person was bad news. Like, it wasn't, something was going to happen. And we were all kind of warning each other, and it just didn't work out right. And today I woke up thinking to myself, we could have dodged a bullet, man, if we had taken care of this situation a long time ago. But we didn't. And now everybody's fighting, everybody's arguing. And I wanted to come on here to kind of chill out with you guys. So thank you for being here. I see you guys talking about kind of what happened yesterday. I see Victor Bot said she didn't want to even come forward at first. I agree. I don't think anybody did. But see, that's the thing that I keep telling you guys. I said it a few times now in the last few videos, the few lives. There are moments where, like, people don't get along, and there are bad people. There are, I don't know about bad people, but, you know, people that just they're not good news. Trust me, I'm trying to tell you, like, from somebody that has seen that and experienced these kinds of things firsthand. It's like you just can't associate with it, but you got to call it out. You got to call it how you see it. You can't, like, you know, I'm not going to ruin this person's vibe or career or whatever. I think sometimes you got to just say what you feel. You got to go with it. I don't know. You know, it wasn't my battle, so I could just kind of support from the sidelines and agree with kind of what was going on. I was like, yep. All of it, the whole craziness, everything, you know. I don't think anybody was really in the wrong. I think just nobody knew how to handle it. Nobody knew how to approach it on every side of that situation. Everyone was just all over the place. And everyone was trying to defend everyone's side. And the thing was there was one person that was kind of shady, that did some shady stuff in the past, and now has kind of shown that now it's seen again. It's like coming through again. And that was it. And somebody outed him, and that was that. And of course, like I said, if you're associating with somebody, you could catch buckshot. Some of you guys might know what I'm saying. I'm saying I had friends that maybe if I was hanging out with them, I could have got shot. And I still hung out with them, knowing that could happen, that I could get stabbed or shot. And it might have nothing to do with me. Like, I'm saying that's just, it's life. That's just the way it is. That's why you got to be aware of the people you surround yourself with, of the people you include. And I understand that some people are running, like, some people have different platforms, like this platform where we're hanging out, we're talking. I don't think I'm ever going to bring, like, Richard Doty on here. I wouldn't. And I'm not hating on anybody that brought him on their channel or anything, but I said a while ago, I don't understand how this guy's still around. You know, I don't understand how he's still in the conversation and we're still listening to him. That's my opinion. And that's what I want for this channel, is to like filter shit and make sure that you guys don't have to put up with any nonsense. And you might have to either way. Maybe I didn't see it, or maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I talked to somebody and I didn't know the whole story. This is like all online. So, but I will try to be like, that's just the way I am. I don't associate with people that I don't like, even if they're telling me they know the key, you know, they have the key to Shangri-La or something, or Shangri-La or whatever. All good. Like I'm good. Like I don't need to associate with these kinds of people. Thank you, Ruth, for that super sticker. Let me check out the live chat. So I don't think this should be about us really talking about that, because that was it affected the community. It threw everybody on their head. Everybody went kind of wild with it. It's done. It's over. The situation was handled. We can learn from it. We can think like, next time, let's handle this now, when we know, you know, let's take care of these people. Let's try to figure out a way to communicate to the world what we think about certain people before it gets too out of hand, you know? And I don't know. You know, I wanted to really sit down and talk to you guys, get off of Twitter for a minute. I've been on Twitter a lot recently, and I don't know what to say. Like, I enjoy it. I enjoy you guys. I enjoy discussing with you guys. Let me check out the live chat. I got UFO T's here. UFO T has an awesome channel. Make sure to check her out and go subscribe to her channel. She has some great talks and some great thoughts. She shares some great thoughts, and she does some good research. So she's awesome. Check her out. I'm checking out the live chat. Let me see, guys. I saw Victor Bot said your posts are good, bro. A lot of your posts are good, man. It's really about like, how can we help people? How can we help push the discussion forward? Maybe I might post something that makes somebody think. Maybe you post something that makes people think. You know, I see Ruth says, I'm here to learn and chat. Let me check this out. I'm here to learn and chat with people who like the same things, but I really can't stand drama. I have enough of that in my job. And I agree with you. You know, but humans are drama. It's unfortunate. Humans are drama. There's so much drama all the time about everything. Just take a second and think about your day. And when you hit the street, you know what I mean? When you go to the market, when you do different, there's drama everywhere. But I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. There are some amazing people in the UFO Twitter community. There are amazing people on all these different communities and different platforms, on YouTube, on different podcasts, on that write, you know, people that write books, authors. There's amazing people all over the world that are interested in this topic. And we can't like ignore certain groups because we think, I don't know. I really just think that we need to appreciate UFO Twitter and these groups and you guys and people like, you know, we're all the same. We're all just people. I think that we need to like always have each other's backs. That's the way it's got to be. And if there's ever something that we don't vibe with, we don't vibe with it. That's it. Let me know in the live chat, like what other communities you use other than Twitter. You know, is there one that you prefer? I'd love to hear that. I see Diogo was talking about Lou there. He said speaking of Kahneman, the last interview Luis Elizondo gave for that UFO podcast. Diogo, igual that UFO podcast. Those are my boys, man. I like them. They're awesome. They've always been really kind to me, and they do good work. Really felt like he's selling a narrative. Am I tripping, or anyone else feel the same? I get what you're saying. You know, a lot of people, there is always this discussion when it comes to Lou. You know, I think the way he speaks and the way he handles himself, it's like he's got a mission. He's got an idea of what he's trying to say. I was going to say he has a mission, but that's going to make it sound bad. I'm saying he has like a goal. It's very calculated what he does, because that's just who he is. I think that's just the way he thinks and the way he talks. You know, I don't think he's necessarily selling us a narrative. And I think at this point, what we need to do is just get what we can and make our own minds up and, you know, decide for ourselves what we think and do our own research. Help the people that we believe we need to champion and do the work we have to do to figure out what we can. Because it's not going to be, you know, disclosure is never going to be like the government just comes out and tells you what it's all about. This is going to be piece by piece. And even then, even when we're in like a post-disclosure world, I still think there's going to be so much research, so much work we're going to have to do to really figure out what the phenomenon wants, what it's doing here, what the whole story is, what it thinks, how it lives, what it believes, the customs it has, you know, if it feels emotions, if it has any sort of relation to us in any way. There's so many things we're still going to have to figure out. So I'm just happy that slowly more UFO news is coming out. Slowly things are happening and we're kind of moving forward, right? So I'm just happy about that. Some of us get elevated out of the trenches, but generally speaking, UFO Twitter is skeptics versus believers versus those there to listen. I agree, you know, but like I said, a little dash of a skeptic every once in a while, a healthy one, a little dash of a healthy believer, and then sitting down and chatting about what everybody listened to is, I think it's productive. Every so often, if you pay attention and you let people share their thoughts, share their theories, you pick up some gems, you learn knowledge from people. You know, I see Scott here. What's up, Scott? Scott says, I use my private Facebook group In the Field. There you guys go. Another group to go check out. I don't know if people can join that because you said it's private, but if you want people to, I guess there's people in the live chat. I'm sure would love to check it out. Oh, here you're saying. He is explaining it. People need to have their own opinion and stop forcing their own on others. Oh, I thought you were explaining what your private face group was about. Your Facebook group was about. Sorry. But I agree, Scott. People need to have their own opinion and stop forcing their own on others. Look, I have my own opinions when it comes to this. We could talk all night and I'll keep coming back to, you know, to what I think. And you're going to have you're going to believe what you believe. We might come to some agreements, but we're never going to be all on the exact same page. So I agree 100%, Scott. I see Victor Bot says, to be honest, Twitter has the most content creators that are worth following. Thanks, Vic. And yeah, I agree. There's a lot out there. I think that's also been kind of nipping me, at least personally, in the behind a bit recently. I've been getting this vibe from the community for like the last 2-3 months, maybe. As soon as I took a little break, people started saying, like, who are these podcasts? Who cares about these channels? Like, why do we listen to them? Like, they're authorities. What is this about? First of all, I'm not an authority on this topic. You know, I'm just like any of you guys in the live chat. I'm a normal dude. I do think that there are certain people maybe that have large platforms, right? And I could see how somebody might turn to them to get some information out or for help, right? But give me a sec, guys. I should have had some water, but that is not water. That's soda. That's not good for me. But yeah, people, a lot of the community was saying, you know, they're saying these kinds of things, and I get it. There's a lot of podcasts and different channels out there right now, kind of new channels, new faces, people that maybe haven't been in this looking into this topic for 20 years or 30 years. I know, Scott, you've been looking into this for a very long time, so you're a vet. You're an OG when it comes to this. a lot of you in the live chat. I mean, let me know how long you've been looking into this topic. And I'm sure lots of you have probably been looking into the topic much longer than some of these people that have podcasts and channels, longer than myself. And it could get frustrating when you hear somebody trying to discuss a topic that maybe they're not super informed about. But I think it's good. I mean, they're learning, and they might have a different approach or a different viewpoint or a different way of seeing it, a different, maybe we've been looking at some of the cases backwards, and somebody comes in that hasn't been tainted by the UFO community, that hasn't been sort of affected by the conversations that we have. We all kind of stick to these. We have our own ideas, but we also know what other people. I've read so many cases that I kind of have like an idea of what I'm thinking about most of the time before I even pick up a case. It's different if some young kid comes in, picks something up, has never heard about it before in their life, doesn't know about patterns, doesn't know about physical traces, doesn't know about different effects that craft can have on people, and they just start reading a case for the first time. I think it's good. But I have been getting this vibe from the community where there's, kind of gunning at the people with YouTube channels or podcasts. And it sucks, man, because I love this. I love doing this. I love sitting down with you guys and talking to you guys. I think it's amazing. And I love to use my camera and go live. It's not just about having a YouTube channel. It's about creating this community here where we can all kind of hang out. And you guys can say like, yeah, I enjoy hanging out with the Gaucho and talking about UFOs. I see here, Dio, he's saying that UFO podcast is a great podcast. But he says he even felt that the guys interviewing Lou were getting the vibe from him and were actively trying to get answers from him in a no BS zone, if you will. I think a lot of people are trying to get answers from Lou in that manner, because we've been surprised a few times about things that have come out, like that he was practicing, was it remote viewing? That was interesting. Nobody expected that one coming, I'm sure. I love how Ruth said, I'm old. I just want answers before I die. We all want answers before we die. And age is just a number. You never know. I could walk outside and end up like the legendary John Mack, And this is important too, what Ruth said there. I've been focusing and thinking a lot about the future, and sort of like the youth and the people that are joining this conversation that haven't been looking into it for 20 years, maybe the young minds that are going to step up in the next coming, in the coming decades. How do we kind of leave it healthy for them to pick it up? I don't want this community or this topic to be remembered with more skepticism, with more stigma. How do we formulate a plan to leave this topic somewhere where it can grow like a beautiful flower? How do we leave it somewhere that it can really blossom and inspire people in the future? Because we're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be able to do this for the rest. I mean, life is fleeting. That's the way it is. I saw Space Cow said 25 years. 25 years, Space Cow, man. That's a long time. I'm sure you've got a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. And there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And what you need to do is communicate it instead of getting angry. When you hear somebody talking about something that they don't know, try and communicate it to them in a way that isn't like talking down to them, in a healthy way, and maybe give them some nuggets, a little bit of some clues here and there to help inspire them to go figure it out themselves. I wish I had these communities when I was growing up, to be honest, like UFO Twitter or these Reddits, whatever, Facebooks, Instagram, just places where I could sit down and talk to like-minded people that were into this topic. There were so many times that I would find myself sitting in the corner of a dark library reading a book about UFOs, and nobody knew I was reading that book. and I would, check it out with another book and kind of take it home. And nobody knew I was reading that book. And I had nobody in school that I could sit down and talk to. My friends didn't want to talk about it. Nobody was interested in that kind of stuff. Not to the level that I was. We could have a small conversation, but it was never something that I had a circle of friends that I could really lean on and count on to have, to have thought experiments, to really get the juices bubbling like we're doing right now. I see Victor Bot just said Discord would be good for your community too, by the way. I've tried to use Discord and I haven't really used it enough to understand how it works. That's how little I've used it. But yeah, I know when I created this NFT kind of platform, and where I was posting some of my artwork as NFTs, and we had a Discord. And then as soon as we created it, we were like, oh, now we need somebody to run the Discord, and I don't even know how to use it. So yeah, I think I got to start experimenting too with different platforms to help us kind of get the conversation somewhere else, but we'll see, man. Really, today I wanted to come on here, thank all of you guys, the UFO Twitter community. You guys do matter to me. And even if I have one day in the future 100,000 subscribers or whatever, UFO Twitter is always going to have a place in my heart. And I don't think, unless Twitter it disappears, I don't think I'm going to stop using Twitter ever. So I'll probably always use hashtag UFO Twitter, unless it implodes on itself, which I'm a little worried about. Right now, I feel like there's some crazy stuff happening and it could implode on itself. And I keep trying to tell people the way to destroy a community is from the inside. I'm sorry that I wasn't looking at the camera. I was petting my co-host, Nala. For those of you that don't know, I have a 4-leg co-host, and she's awesome. And whenever she wants me to pet her, she comes up and smacks my hand, and sometimes she'll throw everything off the table. So she's a little pushy. Ruth says, I think it takes discernment. I may not agree with Stephen Greer, but I love many things that he's done to help the community. I think that Stephen Greer has done some amazing things in the past. I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't really into his documentaries when I first started looking into this topic. So I'm not really vibing with his current hypothesis, or his current, for him it's fact, right? His current thoughts on the topic. I think if you've checked out my channel in the past, you'll know that I believe that it's negative and positive. It's not all love and light for me. At least what I think, So, but I feel that way about a lot of people. I respect Lou. I think that he's doing a good job and he's pushing everything kind of forward. But people are people and they make mistakes. So, I'm never going to 100% believe that somebody knows every single fact about the phenomenon, because it's a phenomenon. It's unexplained, and that's just the way it is, at least at this point. And there might be some people on the inside that have a little more information, but I think the only real way we'll ever understand the phenomenon is from the phenomenon itself. If there's somebody, that's what amazes me about people like Ryan Bledsoe. Sorry, I said it wrong. Sorry, Ryan. His family seems to be interacting with something, right? The phenomenon seems to be there interacting with them, according to what he says. And if I had that kind of situation happen to me, I would be documenting every single time that I had an interaction with the phenomenon. I'd be trying to figure out how to find patterns, how to find explanations, how to use this interaction with this otherworldly being or this higher intelligence to benefit all of us, to benefit the human race. What can I learn? So, I saw some people saying they believe he's a con man, but like I said, guys, I just think I'm not 100% putting my chips anywhere, ever. That's just the way I ride. That's the way I am. It's haven't you ever had a best friend or a loved one that completely surprised you and flip like 180. That's the way it is with this, man. Sometimes you don't see people's true colors, or sometimes people change. And sometimes people don't believe what they believed in the past. And a lot of the times, people are sharing their hypothesis when it comes to this, or their theory, right? And or the hypothesis is a better example, because it's like it could change. It could be like disproven. I've had moments, I've said this so much recently because it's happened a lot, because I've been digging a lot recently in the background. And I've had moments where I've invested time into something, and it was not a real case. It was just bunk. And at the moment when I found it, I was inspired. I was like, this is it. I got it. I found a good case. Finally. Start digging with all this emotion, trying to figure out, you're motivated to figure it out, to get some more information about it. And then you reach that dead end and you realize, well, that was a waste of time. And some people really invest their whole belief system on this topic that way. I saw here Benji said, I love Ryan, great dude. That's what I mean. There's people that enjoy what he does and some people that don't. And I think we can all hang out in the same room without killing each other too. I think it's fine. It's just the way it is. Andy O said, people are more frustrated than ever. It's only natural. There has been confirmation from the United States government that this is real, and still no answers, just more rabbit holes. Yeah, man. I know what you're saying. I definitely know what you're saying. And I'm sure a lot of the people in the live chat feel the same way, that we're kind of in a weird place right now, especially us, people that look into this. We feel a bit like, where do we go next? What's going to happen next? That's why I think where we're at today for us personally should be fuel for fire. It should be fuel to the rocket that propels you down the rabbit hole now. Because before, we were looking for the truth, and there's always that little piece of you that's like, am I wasting my time? Will I find anything? And there was always something inside of me that would tell me, no, you're not wasting your time. You're focusing on something that is actually important, but not a lot of people focus on. It's not the most important thing, I think. I don't think it's the most important thing in the universe, I think there is many important, beautiful things in life. And this is just one thing that can tie into the grand scheme of things. For me, it's important. For me, I feel like it'll change the way we see our past, our future. For some other people, it might not. But there was always that tiny little speck inside of me that was like, put down the book, man. Go outside, go do something. Forget about this. And there was moments in my life where I'd put down the book. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't look into cases. I wouldn't do anything. I would just be like, I don't even want to think about it. And then I come back to it. It's like I need those breaks too. So Ruth says, exactly, John. Just keep learning and make your own decisions. The more I learn lightly, the more questions, or the more I learn, I think she meant lately, the more questions I seem to have. It just keeps getting weirder. And there's a video, if you guys watch, like one of my older videos, I started talking about the ultra-terrestrial idea, and that, these beings could be from another dimension. And I had been looking into a lot of John Keel stuff and Jack Vallet's work. And I got to this point where I was like, so it's non-physical. I was looking at Greer's work too. I mean, I was just like listening to everybody. I was looking at everything. And it wasn't that long ago. But I was thinking about C5 and Jack Valet and Keel and this idea of high strangeness. Skinwalker Ranch kind of ties into that, where it's like a trickster element to it, where you can't really put your thumb on it. So it's not like physical, but sometimes it is. So I started going like, so then what is it? How do you put your How can you study something that you can't predict? How do you study something that you can be physical and not physical? It can walk through walls, can come, and I remember sitting in the cemetery here in Buenos Aires, filming the video, and thinking to myself, that sounded weird. I was in the cemetery. The cemeteries are beautiful here. If you guys ever come here, you should definitely go check them out. I used to go a lot. I'll probably go again now that COVID is kind of calming down a little bit. They're beautiful. They have like mausoleums, I think is what they're called. Like it's not like plaques in the cemetery. A lot of the plots or whatever are like little mausoleums, like little houses. So it's really cool. And it's a place where you can go and you don't have to worry about anything. You're not going to get robbed in the cemetery. There's like guards at the door and anybody can go in. So I'm there. And I remember thinking to myself, like getting to this point, like, so what am I doing? Like if the phenomenon can do whatever it wants and manipulate our senses and be non-physical and physical at the same time, how can I ever figure anything out here? So the rabbit hole can get deep. The rabbit hole can get tiresome. The rabbit hole can get confusing. But at the same time, it's part of the beauties of life. In the last podcast or the last episode of this live, we talked about some of the positive effects that looking into the phenomenon had for us, for some of the people that listen to this, listen to these lives and join the live chats. So there are positives and there's beautiful things that you can learn about life and people when it comes to the phenomenon, when looking into the phenomenon. So Victor Bot said, it's okay to not know. I think I agree. I mean, I haven't really known 100% what's behind the phenomenon, like many of us, here in the live chat, my entire life. I have my ideas. I've looked into work. Today I put a tweet out that said, like, I haven't really come face to face with the UFO phenomenon. I've seen strange things in the sky, never something that I could physically say, like, that's a craft. I've seen strange lights, anomalous lights in the sky. But who knows, right, about that? But I have had strange experiences, very strange experiences that have changed the way I look at reality, but not necessarily matching the patterns of what people see when they have close encounters. And I tried to do C5 or, meditate to open up my consciousness to see if I could contact something, because I'm not afraid of the phenomenon. I'm not afraid of demons. I'm not afraid of any of the high strangeness stuff. I'm not. It's just, to me, it's like studying studying tigers your whole life, reading about them and looking at pictures of them, and you're not going to want to go see a tiger. Does that sound smart to you? A tiger can be dangerous. If it's not a controlled scenario, something bad can happen. But if there was only one shot for you to ever see a tiger, and you've been studying you've been studying and reading about tigers and learning about tigers since you were a little kid, wouldn't you want to go just take that shot? I don't know. Let me see. EM says, our government claimed disclosure by July. There have been sightings of large ships in Texas and Phoenix that were followed by our military. I'm sure they got pics. Where are they? Well, I've said it once. I'll say it again, guys. The government is the government. Lots of these people like Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, they're like going against the grain. They're only giving you what they can give you. The other day, I think Lou was on, I think it was the Theory of Everything podcast or a channel. I keep saying podcast channel, which I think it's a podcast as well. But I think he was saying that there's HD photos of occupants like in the craft, or there's HD photos of the beings, of the occupants, the UFO occupants. And you're like, I was sitting back thinking about that, and I was going, if he's saying that, he's probably seen something, and we haven't, and the people haven't, because face it, the government decides what you're supposed to see and what you're not supposed to see. That's why it's the government. If not, it would just be, I don't even know what it would be called. if it didn't have some sort of control like that. I used to spend a lot of time thinking the government was the bad guy. Then I just understood I didn't like politics. I didn't like the way things were set anywhere. You know, I didn't like this idea of having kings and queens and governments, but they exist, and I'm not going to be able to topple a government or change the world when it comes to that. It's impregnated into who we are and our societies. So I don't spend too much time worrying about that. I worry more about, like, how can we get that information? How can we see that? And if there are photos, how do I get a photo? How do I, not the photo they have. If there is a photo, I want to go see the beings. I'm going to keep searching. You know, I want to see them close up because there's photos and they have them. You know, that's all I need that for. I know they're not going to give me the photo. And if we do get a leak or something, think about all the people that are not going to believe. I'm telling you guys, the day we get something real good, look what happened with the gimbal to go fast in the FLIR video. You know how many people think they've debunked those videos? That's going to keep happening over and over again. Over and over again until the stigma is gone and this topic is openly discussed and openly talked about and everybody truly believes in the phenomenon. If not, people are going to keep debunking and talking about, like, Chinese drones and all these things. Like, till then, it's, you got to believe what you want to believe. You got to believe what you think is the correct thing to believe or not. I don't see much more of a choice for people than to have the belief that the phenomenon is real at this point. Personally, I think to believe otherwise would be foolish. It would be foolish at this point. The way things are headed, I don't see this coming to a halt anytime soon. I don't see this stopping. I see more and more information maybe trickling, coming out slowly. It's not going to come out, you know, maybe we will get a picture of some craft in HD, you know, another HD video or something. But how many videos do we have to see? How many pictures do we have to see? At this point, what we need to do is start building a structure and an idea, like I said earlier, to really help this topic blossom, to really help the thinking of this topic to not be the same prosaic kind of like inside of the box thinking, to not let this be like a box we have to check, because the phenomenon has no boxes. It doesn't check boxes. It doesn't follow by human rules. I think that's one thing we can all agree on. The phenomenon seems to do what it wants, when it wants, how it wants. It's keeping the secret the way it wants to keep the secret. It's not following any laws. It's not doing anything. And trust me, that once this really comes to light and people really start accepting it, there's going to be a post-disclosure world where there's like laws about it. It's going to be crazy. That's the only way they know how to work. That's the only way we know how to work. You know, we can fight to change it. I see Space Scout says we must change that, but the only way we can change it is not by making the government the enemy. It's by changing this in the future, changing this for the minds that are going to grow, and they're the ones that are going to change the world. Now it makes sense to me, you know, what they used to tell me when I was a kid and what they tell you, like, you're going to change the world. You're going to be, you know, the future. When you're little, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? It doesn't make sense, right? Now that I'm older, I'm like, totally. The young minds of today will definitely change the world tomorrow. And if we can inspire them to really look into this topic and really see this topic for what it is, who knows what they can find out, and who knows the world and the future we could be living in. So we need to break down the barriers, break down the stigma. It might be difficult. There might be fights in different circles. There might be people that are in this topic for the wrong reasons. But really the important thing is getting this out there as much as we can, getting the discussion had as much as we can, because the rest is going to happen like it or not. You know, what Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon are doing, that's going to happen like it or not. Right? TTSA happened like it or not. The way things are going, that's just what it is going to happen. So what we need to do, personally, all of us, I think, this is what I believe, is figure out a way for that. And when I have kids, or when, you know, maybe our grandkids have kids, or whatever. They grew up in a world where they can talk about this and it's not an issue. They don't have to be alone sitting at the back of the library reading a book and taking it home and not telling anybody that they got that book. And they go to school and not telling anybody what they're thinking about the next day. So yeah, that's why I agree with a lot of things that are happening. You know, I think that what the boys did with the big phone home at the UCR, I thought that was good. You know, I'm not a big government guy. I'm not a big believer in politics, but I think it'll help because there are people out there that believe in that have faith in it. That's just not what I believe in, really. And if you're in the live chat and you believe in it, cool. For me, it's like respecting people's religious beliefs. I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. That's just not how I live my life. Let me check this out. Let me check out the live chat. I'm going to share some of the comments you guys are sharing. Carl Anderson, why does Lou Elizondo speak highly of Tyler Rogoway when he writes articles saying UFOs are Chinese drones? I don't know, man. And there might be some Chinese drones out there. I agree with you, Carl, but, you know, we can't read into too many of these things either. Like I said, I think what they're doing is great. Will they let us down? Maybe sometime in the future. Maybe. That could happen. We're all humans, you know, and lots of people have motives and they have ideas and they have beliefs and they have a plan and they have the way they want, you know, as far, they're only willing to go so far with certain things. So far, they're doing great, in my opinion. But Space Cow said, yeah, we need a game plan. Andy Oates says it's going to take something a bit more than footage. I agree. But I think that this is powerful. What we're doing right now, this talk we're having. I mean, this video will live here forever, at least until YouTube shuts down when the apocalypse happens. And then maybe there'll still be one little computer somewhere and some dust like blowing by it. It'll be like half in the sand and this stream will be running. And who knows, man? But I think that these conversations are healthy and important. And yeah, we need a bit more than footage. And there will be. You know, the Galileo project could surprise us. I think they got some good minds on that team and they're going to do good work. I mean, how could it go wrong? I could just imagine, I'm sure you guys were around when CSETI started. And I'm sure people were really hyped about that when it started. I don't remember. I was probably small when it started. I was probably young when it started. It's against the law right now to interact with UFOs. Is it? I didn't know that. Is it really? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments if it really is. I didn't know that. That's cool. See, I learned something new. Space Cow says our thought process. Yep. Victor Bott says Tom DeLonge always said his goal was to help the younger generation get over the cynicism involved with the military. See, I understand that. But I also think, for example, that wouldn't be my goal. I think there's a lot of people that respect the military, you know, and understand. It's easier for them to understand. There's a lot of people that served and are into this topic. So I really think it's about just ending it all around, right? Ending the stigma all around. Who cares? It's one of those things like, who needs the government to tell you it's real? It's kind of like, do you really need confirmation from the government? It's one of those things that should be that real that you don't need. It's like as real as the sky above your head. It's one of those things that should be that taken in that manner. Morcavius, what's up, man? Thank you for being here. Benji said, Carl, and don't forget our boy Tom DeLonge. Who would have thought? I agree, man. Carl said, we wouldn't be here without Lou, Chris. No denying it. I agree. And Benji was right with this. Don't forget Tom DeLonge. I think that's the coolest story of all of them. One of the coolest ones. Punk rock pop star ends up looking crazy all over the news and the media, and then ends up proving everybody wrong. Nobody said nothing now. You notice when he first came out and started talking about that stuff, everybody was laughing in their seats. Joe Rogan had him on, and he was talking to them all, treating him like he was crazy. And nobody came out after everything happened. Nobody came out and said, you know what? Tom DeLonge was so right. Joe Rogan should literally say that, because the way he treated him the first time he came on that podcast, or I don't know if it was the first time or the time he came on and talked about UFOs, I thought that was lame. And I'm a fan of Joe Rogan. So UFOT, thank you. She said, so glad to catch her live. Love the show. Talk to you later. Guys, make sure to go check out her channel. She's awesome. She does some great work, and she's cool. So go follow her. I'm going to make sure to add the link to her channel down in the description of this video once we're done with the live. Do me a favor, guys, too. As always, take the link for this and share it on whatever platform you use. And let's see if we can get a few more people in here. I think we're almost done, but still, they could join the back end of this conversation. I wanted to do one thing before we end the live. Just kind of seeing as we were talking about, is the community good or bad? Is UFO Twitter going to implode on itself? I don't think it will. Last time we talked about some of the positives of looking into the phenomenon. And I did ask a question on Twitter the other day, and I wanted to read some of the responses to you guys because I think they were pretty cool. So I said, if you had one piece of advice for a fresh mind starting their journey looking into the UFO topic, what would it be? Now, see, something that we talked about today was me reading that book, in the back of the library. And I had nobody to talk to. I had no advice with this topic growing up for years. So that's why I'm so happy to finally see a community that's interested in the topic and that I can talk to, like you guys. So some of these responses were great. So I'm going to read some of them. I'm not going to say the usernames or anything. It was a question that I asked on Twitter, and I'm asking these questions, and I'm not telling people, hey, I'm going to read some of these on my lives, because I don't want to ruin the question. I just want them to answer it normally without any sort of prejudgment to think oh, he's going to read it. So I want it to be natural from them. So I'm not going to read the usernames. Some of you might have actually answered these questions. So one of them says, stay in school, stay off drugs, which is cool, right? So it's they're talking to a young mind. We must become more than cobblers and cooks to ascend towards galactic truth. Strive beyond a basic college degree. Realize the boundaries of any subject matter expertise exists because nobody can know everything. Specialize in something. That's interesting. See, so that person obviously believes very highly in specializing in something, not only looking into the phenomenon, but building an education and having a specialty. So you can actually, it's something that I regret, when I hear people talk about data and getting data. And I'm like, are you really going to get the radar data? Are you really going to understand it? I'm glad that the community is there. So there's people that can tell me what the radar data says, so this is interesting. Steve says, oh, I said his name. I'm sorry, Steve, but it's not his username. So it's just his handle. Or you know what? I'm going to skip it now because I said, actually, it's good. I'm going to say it anyways. I doubt this person will get angry. Have a strong BS filter. And remember, your conclusions are as valid as anyone else's. I think here it says, I'm not sure what this says. Oh, he's pointing out two people to look into. He says, not everything you were taught in school is necessarily true either. And that's true. That's very important. I mean, I always had that belief and that thought growing up. That was kind of how I felt. And That's kind of what always kept me looking into this, and what's really grown my belief system today. Like, not everything is true. Not everything you're taught is true. Not everything you see is true. With everything, with people, with politics, with everything. So let's check out the live chat again before I read some more. Carl Anderson says anything can be potential data. I agree. Not just radar data. I'm just saying that I use that example because I'm like, I won't be able to understand it. Somebody's got to help me with that. Morcavius says it was pretty distasteful even for Rogan. Oh, he's talking about Tom visiting. It was distasteful. I mean, Rogan can get distasteful. Let's face it. He's got that kind of a personality where he can switch on people quick. And you can tell when he doesn't think somebody's being, when he doesn't agree with what somebody's saying. He says, yep. And even Travis stuck up for Tom. Yeah, he did when he was on there. All Tom's theories since 98 in the tour bus. So let's read a few more of these real quick. Let's see. Stay quiet. Don't offer your opinion unless asked. Watch the skies. Read a lot. Assume nothing. Also be cautious of any methods of meditation or invitation mentally. It's like unlocking your house door and putting a sign saying open house. Don't assume all of them are nice. I think that's good advice. I think being cautious should always be taken into consideration. You shouldn't believe that everything is nice. You shouldn't believe that everything is love and light, because it's not. That's just not the way reality works. I don't believe that. Some people shared some links. This one was nice. Be kind to yourself if your assumptions, beliefs, and questions. Be kind to yourself if your assumptions, belief, and questions and conclusions about the nature of reality change and evolve. That's nice. So these are great. Look, these are great things and a great way to do what we were talking about earlier, leaving this topic, sort of letting it blossom and helping it be healthy for the next generation. These kinds of ideas and these thoughts. This one says, do not chase scientific answers. There are none to be found. Now, I don't know if that one's really the best advice. I think we need to look at, we need to be open to get answers from anywhere we can, to be honest. Have an open mind, but remain as objective as possible. Listen to everyone, but only make judgments based on facts and data. Hold on to your beliefs and faiths, but don't let them blind you. Always seek the truth, even though you may never find it. Always seek the truth, even though you may never find it. It's interesting, man. I like that one. This one's good. Don't take anyone's word for anything. Judge everything on its own merit. See, I think a lot of these will apply to a young mind at any point. That one. Don't take anyone's word for anything. Judge everyone or judge everything on its own merit. I think you could totally tell that to a kid about anything. And it would help. Definitely. Keep an open mind and don't embrace fear. That's another one that could be applied to anything. Here's a good one. Read a lot, and then read some more for decades. Take the advice of Stan Friedman. Do your homework. Both kinds of homework, UFO homework and normal homework. Know the subject and its history before devising opinions and drawing conclusions. Here, this is what I was talking about, right? It's good advice. And I know some of you in the live chat agree that was some good advice. But I also think this idea of knowing the subject and its history. I know this history, right? I know the history of the topic. I think I'm not as a historian. I'm not like probably this person that has more of that take on it. I'm more visual than I am. I don't know. I'm more about like expressing myself visually. Like I can remember images better than I can a date. But I think, like I said earlier, if we let some of these young minds come in and start devising opinions and drawing their conclusions without being tainted by this unhealthy kind of, the phenomenon and the relationship we have with it is not the healthiest, right? hides in the shadows. We don't know what's going on. The phenomenon, I mean, the relationship we have with the secrecy tied to this is not healthy. So I think if they come in before that, before they get tainted by 25 years of getting lied to or going down rabbit holes that end in nothing sometimes, and reaching dead ends and dropping, putting down the book and picking it back up again, losing friends and family members because they don't believe you or they don't want to talk about the topic or whatever, getting looked at like you're crazy sometimes. Hopefully that won't exist much longer. But I'm saying if we let them come in without that, without any of that negativity, and they're just fresh, young mind, healthy people, right? They've got no darkness. they haven't been touched by the dark side yet. Maybe they can devise some different opinions and draw some conclusions that we can't. I think it's crucial for the young guns. I see Space Cow said, yes, a good foundation is crucial for the young guns. I agree. Good foundation is good, but I'm trying to say maybe they need to come in with a fresh mind and they need to share what they think. It's like when you hear a little kid, you look at a picture and two people look at a picture, right? You look at a little kid looks at a picture and their imagination is going to blow your mind, right? Because they're not afraid to use it. As we get older, it becomes brittle. It becomes weak for a lot of people and they lose that imagination. They lose the idea to close their eyes. They can't close their eyes and imagine something. They need to see the schematics and the diagram. They need to see how it's going to look before they can build it. They need to know how long something is. They can't just imagine how long it has to be and figure out they need to follow the instructions. A young mind might be a powerful tool for us. A fresh, young, untainted mind might be powerful because it will approach it in a way, it might teach us a way to put a screw somewhere that we would have never imagined in the first place. Might give us a hypothesis that we never could have generated on our own because we've been looking at the work of all these great people and they've guided us in this direction. And we missed that one little clue, that this kid saw because they were just open to it. It wasn't weird for them to talk about. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I asked these questions to the community. I got some great responses. Here's a good one. Don't just use the internet and social media as the source of your info. Talk to people, read books written decades ago on the subject or about cases from yesteryear. I like that. Amass as much detail as you can before even attempting to think you even have the merest hint of what is going on. I like that one. That was good, man. And here's a good one. This person is in the live chat. Never get too attached to one view versus another. And most of all, be kind to people. 100%. So yeah, man, what I want to do, if you guys are in the live chat and you responded to me and I'm not reading it, I'm sorry. I think you guys get the idea. The idea is there's so much good advice we can give people that are looking into this topic for the first time, people that are joining. So try to give it to them. I know a lot of you guys have been looking into this topic for 20 years, 30 years, even longer. Try to give healthy advice. Understand that, young guns and young minds can be difficult to deal with, right? Somebody a little bit younger than us, even a few years younger than me. Like I could see how me trying to interact with a 20-year-old could be difficult, right? To try to educate or give advice to. So yeah, I'm just saying, I think we need to figure out a way to really leave this in a healthy position for the people that are going to follow up after us. Carl Anderson says, if the phenomenon decides to take a 20-year vacation away from Earth, the young guns will think we were batshit crazy. That's funny, Carl. Imagine if they just decide to leave. That's why I think, man, there you go. I think They may not leave at all. They may never leave. They may just be here this whole time. They may be much less alien than we think, guys. So thank you guys for joining me, man. We're at like a minute. I'm sorry. This was impromptu, like I said. I'm glad you guys were here. Thank you guys as always, man, for joining me in this, in the live chat. It means the world to me that you would come hang out with me and we can have these talks. You all matter. Everything you guys are doing, looking into this topic is important. Every time you sit down and talk to somebody, remember that reflects all of us, kind of, it really does. So try to have healthy conversations with people, point out the snakes, point out the fakes. If you disagree with something, disagree, but do it in a healthy manner and stick up for the heroes, champion the right people. When you reach out to somebody, when you champion somebody, last thing I want to say is when you champion somebody, make sure they're a champion, make sure they really are the kind of person you want to put on that pedestal, and don't let any of these other creators or myself, anybody who has a platform, don't let them use you as a stepping stone to get to a platform and then turn their back, turn to you and tell you that you're not real or you're not worth it or you're whatever. The only reason why lots of these people have a voice or space to talk is because of you. That is the only reason. And that will always be the only reason that they have space to talk, is because of their audience, or not their audience, but their community, right? You guys, the real people that are there in the live chat, the ones that interact with them online in that real space, the real people that are talking to them. So you are super important. Everything you guys do and say reflects on all of us. Champion the right people, man. Champion the right people. It is important, right? If this topic is important, we need to do that. You guys are my champions. So thank you guys for joining me today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'm sure we'll go live again on the weekend. And have a good night, guys. Before I leave, I guess I'll leave us with something real quick. Kind of what I've been leaving us with the past few times. But I think, no, you know what? This one's better. Because honestly, the most important thing we could take away from this is never stop searching for the truth. So we'll talk soon, guys.